Howdy folks, John Caldwell here with the results of NXT Takeover Toronto for all of you who missed it, live from the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the home of your 2019 NBA champions, the Toronto Raptors. And man oh man, I gotta say, what a show this was. NXT came into Toronto and absolutely burned the entire place down. Let's go ahead and get into this amazing night of professional wrestling. So we started off with a tag team title match that was the NXT Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, taking on the Undisputed Era. Of course, for the Street Profits, you got Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. And for the Undisputed Era, you got Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Ford pinned O'Reilly after a 5-star frog splash. This was a really good opener. The crowd started the match with dueling chants while Dawkins and O'Reilly started in the ring. They each tried to punk out the other. Ford tagged in to hit Fish with a high Okada dropkick. There were some quick tags by the Profits as they worked over Fish's arm. A distraction turned the tide in the Era's favor. O'Reilly and Ford had some great sequences. The Profits were using double team moves when Ford was tripped up and knocked off the apron by Fish. Dawkins was cleaning house, but he was soon outnumbered. The Undisputed Era worked over Dawkins as they grounded him. He eventually tagged out and Ford ran wild with a lariat and a standing moonsault. A spine buster set up Ford, teasing a people's elbow. O'Reilly grabbed Ford's leg to break up the attempted people's elbow. Ford, a moment later, delivered a rock bottom. A chop block to a knee cut off Ford. The Era did this cool combo that was a DDT into a German suplex. Ford and Fish fought while perched on the top turnbuckle. Fish gave him a super exploder and O'Reilly leapt off the top with a flying knee drop. O'Reilly then applied an Achilles lock. Dawkins made the save in dramatic fashion. Dawkins ran wild off a hot tag. The Profits executed a Doomsday blockbuster on O'Reilly for a near fall, and Fish made the save. A melee developed with all four taking part in a slugfest. Ford flew over the ropes with a Tope Con Giro. Dawkins speared both O'Reilly and Fish. Ford jumped off the top into a frog splash on O'Reilly for the pinfall. So there you have it folks, the Street Profits are still your NXT Tag Team Champions. After that, we seen Ricochet in the crowd, and then we had our next match, which was Io Shirai taking on Candice LeRae in the grudge match. Shirai won via referee stoppage after applying a Koji clutch. This was an exciting and stiff match. LeRae attacked Shirai before the bell to start a brawl. The fight spilled out of the ring where Shirai suplexed LeRae onto an announce table. LeRae sold it big as Shirai shinned her up for an eventual comeback. Shirai worked her over and used an air raid crash to get the near fall. Shirai missed a missile drop kick and LeRae began to rally. She applied an octopus stretch on Shirai. LeRae blocked a 619 and she hit a neck breaker. Nevertheless, Shirai delivered a 619 moments later. LeRae flew out of the ring with a tope suicida, but she turned it into a tornado DDT on the floor. Back in the ring, LeRae hit Shirai with a double foot stomp for 2. They traded Germans and were going back and forth. A reverse Rana by LeRae netted for 2.5. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride got LeRae another close 2 count. They went to the top where Shirai executed a Spanish fly, but LeRae kicked on a lateral press. Shirai countered a backslide into a backbreaker to set up her moonsault off the top. LeRae kicked out again to a huge pop. They totally had the crowd at this point. Shirai then applied the Koji clutch and LeRae passed out, so the referee called for the bell to end it. Completely out of nowhere, Matt Riddle interrupted the show as he stormed through the crowd and got in the ring wearing street clothes. He called out Killian Dane and wanted to fight. Dane entered the scene and a brawl erupted. They brawled around ringside and up the ramp. Officials poured out trying to separate them. Riddle fired up with a ripcord knee. In a stunt to end the brawl, Dane came back to put Riddle and a plant through a pair of tables off the stage. Our next match was for the NXT North American Championship between NXT North American Champion the Velveteen Dream, Roderick Strong, and Pete Dunne. Dream pinned Dunne after stealing the pinfall from Strong. This was action-packed and the crowd loved it. The dance squad from the Toronto Raptors came out dressed as Mounties as the theme song for the Mountie blurred, which I absolutely loved. They did a dance routine before Dream made his entrance wearing a Mountie hat. Dream was sent outside as the outset to leave Strong and Dunn in the ring for an explosive start to the match. Dream took off his suspenders and got serious. Dunn and Strong teamed up on Dream. Strong was sent outside, leaving Dunn to face off with Dream. Dunn was unimpressed by Dream doing Rick Rude gyrations. They grappled and Dream blocked a bitter end only to get crotched by Strong. Strong fired up with a flurry of backbreakers on the floor. Strong worked over Dunn and stretched him. Dream jumped back in to run wild. He did a tribute to Bret Hart and applied a sharpshooter on Strong. Dunn broke up the hold with a missile dropkick. Strong flew outside with a wrecking ball dropkick. Dunn did an Asai moonsault on the floor. This led into a series of freeway spots and slugfest. Dunn delivered a DVD, but Strong hit Dream with an Olympic slam. Dunn then hit Dream with the X-Plex. They did a convoluted Tower of Doom type spot off the top turnbuckle. Dunn was applying a triangle on Strong in a corner when Dream broke it up with a coast-to-coast flying elbow drop. Strong was soon on fire with a series of suplexes and strikes. He put both of them in the stronghold at the same time. Dream went for a double DVD, but he was blocked. Dunn then did a double finger break spot, which looked really painful. A bitter end by Dunn on Strong led Dream to diving in to stop the count. Dunn tied Dream in a knot and hit him with a curb stomp. Strong did a Lance Storm roll into applying a stronghold. Dream executed a DVD on Dunn. Strong delivered End of Heartache, and Dream stole the pin to get the win. So there you have it, folks. The Velveteen Dream is still your North American champion. Our next match was for the NXT Women's Championship between NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler and Mia Yim. Baszler submitted Yim with a triangle head scissors. The story of the match was them both targeting an arm. Yim got a special entrance with a bunch of people on the stage dressed in all backwards ball caps and bandanas covering their faces. They started with intense grappling, Yim with a cannonball in a corner, and the fight then spilled outside. Yim targeted an arm and pinned it between the ring steps and the ring. Baszler sold the arm the rest of the match. Baszler soon cut her off, and she targeted Yim's arm while also selling hers. Both were selling their arms. Baszler applied a wrist lock, and Nigel McGuinness on commentary got in a Folk Han reference for all of you Lord of the Rings fans. Yim got some dirty tactics in by raking the eyes to swift the momentum. Yim flew through the ropes with a tope suicida, and she followed up by springboarding into a tornado DDT. Baszler soon cut her off with strikes. Yim did an avalanche code red for a close near fall, but Baszler a moment later caught Yim in a Kirifuda clutch. Baszler's injured arm was too weak, so Yim was able to pry herself free. Yim then gave Baszler a receipt by stomping her arm, much the champ did in the past. Yim went for the armbar, and Baszler countered into again applying the Kirifuda clutch. Yim was able to escape as Baszler's arm was still weak. Baszler then transitioned into a head scissors in the middle of the ring. Yim could not escape, so she tapped out. So there you have it, Shayna Baszler's reign as NXT Women's Champion still continues. And in the main event of NXT Takeover Toronto, Johnny Wrestling himself, Johnny Gargano, took on the NXT Champion Adam Cole Baby for the NXT Championship in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Cole was awarded the first and third falls to win this match and retain the title. This match was really awesome and I really loved this. Cole won the first fall via DQ and Gargano used the chair in a straight wrestling match. Gargano then evened the falls when Cole tapped out to the Gargano escaped in the street fight. Cole then went on to pin Gargano in the cage match after both fell off the top of the cage through the tables. I really loved this match, like I said. This was just an incredible match, and I put this up here with the Cody versus Dustin match for match of the year. However, I still think that Cody versus Dustin is a lot better than this one, but when it comes to Adam Cole and Gargano and their feud that they've had, I think that this is the best match. I know Wrestling Observer went and had a very critical review of it, but I don't really care. I love this match, and that's all that really matters. This was an awesome match. I love the street fight, second fall. I love the steel cage, and yes, it might have seemed gimmicky to a lot of people, like the Asylum match between Jericho and Dean Ambrose back around Extreme Rules 2016, I think. But they done a really good job with this, and the crowd loved it. I loved it. Everybody online basically loved it except for a few people. So what? I thought it was an awesome match. Looking at the reviews for NXT Takeover Toronto on CageMatch.net, the premier online wrestling database, a lot of fans are still voting on a scale of 0 to 10 on how great this show was. And so far, it has been very well received. As of this reporting, with 13 valid votes by the fans, NXT Takeover Toronto has received an 8.57 out of 10 so far. 10 fans have voted this a 10 out of 10, 1 fan voted 9 out of 10, 1 fan voted 7 out of 10, and 1 fan voted 4 out of 10. Now when it comes to the matches, with the exception of Shayna Baszler and Mia Yim, because nobody has rated that match yet, the fans have went and rated the other matches on CageMatch.net. The tag team title match currently has a 7.96 out of 10. The Io Shirai Candice LeRae match has an 8.84 out of 10. The NXT North American Triple Threat match has an 8.36 out of 10. And the main event, the NXT title Best 2 out of 3 Falls match, has an 8.83 out of 10. Keep in mind, Cody versus Dustin was a 9.50 out of 10. It's a little bit off by 1, but who cares? It's still a really amazing rating. But the fans really think that the Io Shirai Candice LeRae match was the best match of the night, with that 8.84 out of 10 rating over top of the main event, which is 8.83 out of 10, like I said. I thought this was just a really well put together show. As always, they do a great job with the takeovers. You know, I really haven't seen a bad NXT takeover so far. And I have to give it a 10 out of 10. This was just a really awesome show. I love that tag team title match. The Io Shirai Candice LeRae match was awesome. The North American title match was awesome. The women's title match was awesome. And of course that main event. I mean, one of the best matches I've seen all year. You know, it's just such a great show. And honest to God, yes, I have to say that NXT TakeOver Toronto gets a 10 out of 10. And once again, the streak for perfect shows, by my opinion, still goes to NXT. So big congratulations to them. And I feel as though that TakeOver Toronto is probably going to be the best event of this weekend. I really don't see SummerSlam living up to NXT TakeOver Toronto. But I could be wrong, but I just don't see it happening. I really don't. But we'll have to wait and see what tomorrow holds. So as of right now, NXT TakeOver Toronto currently holds a 8.57 out of 10 on CageMatch.net, your premier internet wrestling database. Alrighty folks, that's the results of NXT TakeOver Toronto. I will see you here tomorrow for the results of SummerSlam, so be sure to check back tomorrow for that. Until then, this is Jamin John saying thanks, goodbye, and I'll see you tomorrow, everybody.